All right, NFL playoffs begin in 2 weeks. 3 weeks, really. This week, next week, and then the playoffs.
That's
so
right.
3 Sundays from now, actually Saturday, is when the NFL playoffs. We got games this Saturday. Got a triple header on 97.3 ESPN. We'll have all 3 games for you starting at 1 o'clock all the way through the night game. So a triple dip right here on Saturday afternoon, evening, and into the night here on 97.3 ESPN. All right, it's time for Who's In, Who's Out. These are the 12 teams we think are going to make the NFL playoffs. Now, a lot of these teams are already set. The order is not quite set yet, so we will really get a chance to rank those teams. Now, the NFC is really kind of set. I mean, if L.A. loses this week or Minnesota wins, it will be set except for the East, depending on what happens in the Eagles game. We know if the Eagles lose, the Cowboys would win the division, and then everything would be set. So the NFC could essentially be set after this weekend. The AFC, I think, has a couple things up in the air. So let's go around the horn and see what we got and kind of discuss these teams here. AFC East. Now, Patriots are 1 game up on Buffalo. They do play each other. If Buffalo wins out, they will win the division.
They will?
If Buffalo wins out, they will win the division.
Well,
they play New England this week.
Right, but they're a game behind. We were talking about this before the show. So the Bills are 10-4. The Patriots are 11-3. If
they play each other this week.
Right,
if
then
Buffalo
they'll be
beats
tied.
them, they would be tied, and then Buffalo wins again the next week.
But then what if the Patriots win again the next week? Then they'll be tied.
Yeah, they can still end in a tie.
Yeah,
So-
I think Buffalo wins the
Tiebreaker?
It can't be division record.
Buffalo would win. I heard if Buffalo wins out, they win the division.
I don't see how that makes sense because I thought the common opponent record was the Patriots had a better common opponent record.
Well, unless the Patriots have them in division record.
Well, the division,
Well, they're both
they would both have the same
Yeah,
situation
same
with
one.
the Eagles. They both would have beaten each other, and that would be their only division losses. Their conference record's exactly the same as well. I guess it would come down to common opponent, and maybe
but
Buffalo's got a better common opponent record.
But there's 2 teams. That would be hard because there's 2 teams that New England beat that Buffalo lost to, the Eagles and the Browns. So are there 3 teams that Buffalo beat that New England did
Well,
that?
both
That would
of them
be-
only have 4 losses.
Yeah, so I don't see how that's possible.
Yeah, it's going to be, well, they could have the same amount.
maybe
if the
I heard
Bills
that
have
wrong,
2
but I'm
others.
almost positive I heard if the Bills win out, they would win the division.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not positive on it. I just thought and assumed that it would be really tough because
As did
they
I.
could end in a tie. And I assumed Patriots had the tiebreaker, but I guess not. Maybe not.
We'll have to check
still
that.
don't see
Yeah.
how it's not real. Josh is showing me something here on the 5th seed Buffalo. Yeah, I'm not sure. That doesn't help clear it up for me yet.
Yeah, we'll have to look into it. I mean, it's close.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
we'll look a little deeper into that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's the
Josh
one
is saying
race.
that if they finish in a tie, if the Bills beat the Patriots, but they finish with the same record, it's the Patriots who get the higher seed. They win the division.
So
Okay.
that'll make it tougher for the Bills.
yeah, I could have
Yeah.
sworn I heard if the Bills won out that they would have won, that they win the
I
division.
believe you did hear it from a bad source.
Yeah,
though.
sounds like a pretty bad source.
Mm.
So anybody think the Bills are going to win this thing?
No, now I don't. I don't. I think it's going to be really tough for them to go into New England and win, and then they would have to win and then hope the New England Patriots, lose against the Jets, I believe. That's their last game. So I don't see that happening. I think the Patriots take it.
I have the Patriots taking it. I've strongly considered the Bills, but I don't think they're going to win the game. And
Game's
well,
at
they might
Buffalo.
win the.
No, game's
it's at
at New England.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, and then who does Buffalo play after that?
They play the Dolphins.
Dolphins.
No, Buffalo
they
plays
play
the Jets.
The Jets.
Yeah, I had it mixed
New
up.
England plays
Right,
the
Patriots-
Dolphins.
yeah.
Yes.
Man, that'll be interesting because the Patriots sometimes struggle with Miami. Now it's usually in Miami, and I think this game for them would be in Gillette, up in Foxborough. So it's not as much of it. But Miami's playing tough. I don't know. I almost now do want to go with the Bills, to be honest with you, but I'm sticking with the Patriots.
Yeah, so it is, if the Bills beat the Patriots Saturday, the Patriots beat the Dolphins, both teams would be 12-4. New England has the tiebreaker over Buffalo based on New England would win the tiebreaker. They have an 11-2 record against common opponents compared to the Bills' 9-3.
There you go.
So
Very
that
good.
would be New England getting in.
That'd be such a Buffalo Bills thing to happen. a 12-4 season and you're a wild card team.
Yeah, so it would be tough for them to win the division at this point because Miami beating Miami would be pretty far-fetched. But who knows? This season has been so wild and up in the air. The Ravens have already won the North. Houston or Tennessee?
I got Houston. I've had Houston pretty much the entire way. Tennessee's a nice story. I don't see them beating the Texans out at this point in the year.
I'm confused. What if they finish with the same record?
Who?
No, I still think Houston's going to win the division. Yeah. Because I think Houston might
beat
lose
them
Tennessee.
at Tennessee.
Right, but I think Houston
They
might
play
lose.
again next week.
Right. But Tennessee plays New Orleans this weekend, so I think they lose that game. Houston plays the Bucks. I think they win, so they're going to wind up being
a game ahead.
I'm going to take Houston.
Yeah, I like Houston here. I thought that Tennessee would have won the game last week.
That was their chance.
That was their chance. I thought they would have won the game. They were playing really well.
Ebb and flow, baby.
Yep.
That was the perfect example of it.
They had played really well, and then last week they just didn't play well.
That's why I picked Houston. I felt like things were like eventually they were going to have to lose
now
a
you're
game.
using the opposite. Well, what have you seen from this team? Nothing. I'm going to go.
That's literally why I picked it. I said, they've won too many games in a row.
Can't do it anymore.
Yep, they're out. So we all like Houston there. Kansas City has already won the West. All right, 2 wild cards. 1 wild card team is already set. We just don't know who it's going to be, either New England or Buffalo. We all assume that New England will win. So Buffalo would be 1 wild card team for everybody. There's 1 up for grabs. Pittsburgh, Tennessee. Indy got eliminated last night. I think everybody else is essentially out. Maybe there's some cockamamie ways that Oakland or somebody can get in.
There
but
is.
It's really between Pittsburgh and Tennessee for that last spot.
Correct.
Yeah, I had the Steelers. They play the Jets this week. I see them winning that game, and then they finish the year in Baltimore. That could be a good one, but remember the Steelers, I believe that game went to overtime against the Ravens earlier in the year. They played them tough. I wouldn't be shocked. The Ravens maybe could be even sitting some people at that time. So I think the Steelers take that second wild card.
Do we know if there's a tie between Tennessee and Pittsburgh who would get in?
I don't.
believe Pittsburgh would be getting in because they are currently both 8-6 right now, and Pittsburgh is the 6th seed.
Oh, I may have to change that. Well, you know what? No, I'm going to stick with the Titans. I could see the Steelers.
Yeah, they win the
losing out.
tiebreaker over Tennessee based on conference games.
Yeah, I think the Duck Dynasty has lost a little bit of its luster, and I could see the Steelers really slipping here over the last 2 weeks. So I went with Bills Titans.
Do they go back to Rudolph in any of these games?
Well, it is Christmas time.
Wow.
Got to factor that in.
That was great.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
I'm not even going to comment after that.
Jets are on the schedule. They're at the Jets this week and then at Baltimore. Tough
Yeah.
one because I could see them splitting those games. Because the Ravens, I think, are still going to be playing for the 1 seed.
They are. That's the beauty of this year. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of starter resting. We'll see. I think it's going to be tough for Pittsburgh. For some reason, when you're on your 3rd-string quarter, I feel like they've been playing with house money for a while now. And now you're playing every game and everything means something. And, they lost the other night and they got outclassed a little bit by Buffalo is clearly the better team. They're hanging in there because they have a great defense. But
Yeah.
watching Hodges play, it was like, ooh. He's a 3rd-string quarterback for a reason.
He was really bad.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to diss the guy. I think what he's done, again, house money. They've already exceeded. I still give Mike Tomlin Coach of the Year, even if they lost the last 2 games. It's been that good. But I just don't see it for them.
See, I don't know how Oakland's still alive because Cleveland is actually ahead of them in the standings. And I thought Cleveland was out.
Well, if the Bills and Steelers both lose out, they're
would
both
be all
gone, right?
8-8.
They're all 8-8.
And
maybe.
And then Oakland wins out. It depends on certain matchups. I saw on a reputable website, either CBS or ESPN, that Oakland was still. They need help. They're still by the skin of their teeth in it.
All right. Well, right now the matchups would be Baltimore, Pittsburgh in round 1, wild card. No, excuse me. Kansas City, Pittsburgh in the wild card, 3-6, and Houston, Buffalo would be the 4-5. Which would be the matchup that ESPN would probably get. They always get the worst of the matchup. That Houston-Buffalo matchup is awful. Kansas City-Pittsburgh doesn't excite me all that much. And then you got Baltimore and New England as the 2 buys in the AFC. All right, so on the NFC side of things, in the East, who you got?
The Cowboys. And it's really tough because after these past 2 games, you're feeling good about the Eagles. You feel better about Carson, at least I do. Zeke's had a lot of success. The Cowboys have had a lot of success against Philly, in the Doug Peterson era. I just see Dallas finding a way to win this game, unfortunately, this week.
I concur. I have Dallas. I've had them for a while.
Yeah, I'm going Dallas as well. I had Philly before, mainly because I thought Dallas would lose the game to the Rams, and that would open the door for the Eagles to win their game, go up a game, and then give them an opportunity to have Dallas slip up there. But then beating the Rams really changed.
I'm surprised.
Changed a lot.
So because you had the Eagles as recently as last week.
Well, I thought the Eagles would be able to basically win out,
right?
Because the Cowboys have been playing so poorly. I figured they'd play poorly against the Rams and lose that game,
right?
Which would put them in position. I just haven't seen – I thought Philly would win these 2 games, but I don't feel great about the way they've played in these 2 games. And that doesn't mean anything other than I just don't think they have the manpower right now.
So all of us have the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Congratulations, fellas. We just won the Eagles the championship.
Yeah.
Book the parade on Broad.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's the East Championship.
No, I'm going all the way.
Oh, all right.
I mean, I've had Dallas a lot this year,
You have.
and then I really figured that I thought the Eagles getting healthier would put them in better position. I just haven't felt like something's still not there.
Yeah.
You can't feel confident.
No.
I think that's clear.
Which makes me feel good.
Yeah, exactly.
North, you got Green Bay, Minnesota, 2 games to play, 1 game separation. One's going to win the division. The other one most likely is wild card. Who you got?
I still have the Vikings. And until they lose, I'm
no
gonna keep
Dalvin Cook,
there.
it looks like the last 2.
I know. And did Madison get hurt? Because I saw Mike Boone was their leading rusher. Not Boone's Red Wine or Boone's Farms.
You've got they play Green Bay and Chicago.
Well,
Minnesota.
if Dalvin's going to be out for a long time, I should probably adjust it. But I still like the Vikings defense, and that Green Bay offense is so up and down. Can't figure them out. The game's in Minnesota, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with the Vikings.
Green Bay plays the Minnesota and then the Lions.
The Vikings are really going to surge down here, win these games, and then completely take a you-know-what in the first round of the playoffs. I see that absolutely happening to them.
I wouldn't be shocked. I'm sticking with the Packers. I've had them, I think, since before week 1, the first time we did this, so I'm not changing it now. And I do think, listen, even if the Vikings beat the Packers at home, the Packers have the Lions, the Vikings have the Bears. I could see the Vikings losing, and I'm not picking the Lions against the Packers.
Did you have Packers week 1?
Yeah.
I think, is that the only team, the only division that you have not changed? Maybe the Patriots, I guess.
Patriots, Packers, Chiefs.
Oh, yeah, me too with the Chiefs.
Seahawks I've had all year.
Oh, okay.
And I think I had the Saints all year, too. I could have maybe
Well done by
4
you.
right. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And I have not had Green Bay all year. I think this is the first time I'm going to go with Green Bay. And
Welcome.
a lot of it is because Cook might be out the next 2 games.
It's a good reason.
But I like Minnesota's defense better. I'm not still believing in Green Bay. I think Green Bay is they're going to, Green Bay right now is the 2 seed. They're ahead of New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
So, I would like to be in the bracket that has Green Bay significantly more so than I'd rather be in the bracket that has New Orleans.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. In the South, Saints have already won that division.
I still have the Falcons.
Good for you.
You did open up with the Falcons this year.
Listen, I bet you they got better wins this year than the Saints and the Vikings and the Cowboys.
Well,
Yeah,
Falcons
maybe.
Falcons are one of those teams where their record isn't indicative of how poorly they've played.
They are not what their record. They are not what their record says they are.
West still up for grabs. Seattle is the 1 seed right now. They are tied with San Francisco, who had an awful loss against Atlanta at home. That's a bad loss.
Yeah, it is a really bad loss. I'm sticking with Seattle. They play the Cardinals this week. That should be another win. And then the big matchup to end the season, 49ers at Seattle. I wouldn't be surprised if Seattle wins that game as well, so I'm sticking with Seattle.
San Fran plays the Rams.
Yeah, I moved away from San Fran. I went back to Seattle, which I started with, and then finally made the move like 4 weeks ago. But now I'm making the move back to Seattle. Why the 49ers haven't played as well lately?
No,
and
some injuries.
I'm so impressed by Seattle being 5-0 in those 1:00 games on the East Coast, given all the traveling they have to do and the odds against them statistically in the NFL. They might even be better than their record says. You know what I'm saying? Like if some of those games were not such long flights. Maybe they kick the crud out of those teams. I don't know.
Good point.
It's interesting because I feel like I've had Seattle, San Francisco virtually most of the season. I think I started with the Rams.
Right.
I don't know that I've ever went to Seattle. I've pretty much had San Francisco since about 4 or so. That game's at Seattle on week 17, so I think for that reason I'm going to have to go with Seattle here.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right.
So we all just handed the 49ers the NFC West title, as they say.
Yeah.
Okay.
So your wild cards would be San Francisco and Minnesota.
Yep.
Or mine would be Green Bay and San Francisco.
Yeah, that's pretty much. Now the current matchups would be Seattle, Minnesota. New Orleans and Minnesota in the first wild card game.
Mm-hmm.
Dallas and San Francisco. They're your current matchups right now. And then Green Bay, Seattle with the NFC is a lot more juicy than the AFC field, don't you think?
Definitely. I don't know. Is Houston, Buffalo even like a fun watch? I don't know. Deshaun Watson's really fun to watch.
You would think like that defense up against Buffalo. I mean, Buffalo's defense against Watson.
Yeah, it's going to be an ugly game if that's the case, but I bet it'd be a good game.
Now,
it's going to be 3 to 7 points tops.
If Pittsburgh makes it and they got to go into Kansas City, like what's the score at halftime? 28-2? 28-10?
That's
not
it?
even 10.
I would
now,
say
Pittsburgh's got a really good defense, obviously, but when you get to the playoffs and you have to go into Kansas City and you have no offense, that's tough.
So, real quick, if Philly were to make it, they could only be the 4 seed.
Right.
They would play the 5, which would be either San Francisco or Seattle.
Is that definite?
No, but right now,
most likely, right.
That's where it would be locked into. If San Francisco ends up beating Seattle, they would flip spots. And I don't know, right now.
But Minnesota could potentially jump into the 5th, and Seattle could be the 6th, right? Because they're only 1 game difference between those two. If they were both wild cards.
So who are we as Eagles fans, as the listeners, who should they be rooting for? Who would you rather, we talked a little bit about this yesterday, who would you rather see come to Philadelphia if the Eagles can pull off the division? Probably the Niners, right? I mean, they're a great team, but if you have to pick.
I mean, you beat Green Bay in Green Bay, so maybe you're feeling a little better about
and you beat them twice in 1 year? Maybe. It's tough.
I think I'm taking my shot.
Sure, they beat the Reds in 1 year.
I'm taking my shot with against Seattle again, I think.
Yeah. You feel good that you
had a game plan that kind of slowed them down. I don't want to play Minnesota. Their defense is pretty good. Seattle's defense is not very good.
I mean, wouldn't you want if you usually go by the theory that you don't want to play the team, the good quarterbacks, wouldn't you? I mean, if you had your choice between Russ, Aaron, and Kirk Cousins.
Well, the worst quarterback of this lot would be Garoppolo, right?
That's a fair point.
As of now, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I think I'd take my chances with him flying into Philly for a playoff game.
The problem there is their defense, I think, is probably the best of this lot.
I think that they would really struggle defensively against San Francisco. I feel like they're the type of offense that can give some problems to what Jim likes to do because they motion so much and they can cause so much confusion for the Eagles secondary.
They have so much speed.
Yeah.
But they don't really go over the top that much, right? And that's the one real bugaboo with the Eagles.
That's
so maybe
fair.
they keep everything in front of them.
Sanders can go. I mean, Debo can go over the top a little bit. See,
they can.
On other teams, Ryan, yes, they don't go over the top well, but neither do the Redskins. But against the Eagles,
the Dolphins
it's a
had a lot of
totally different story.
Yeah,
exactly. Dolphins, you don't see Devontae Parker getting like 3 touchdowns in a game, but when they play the Eagles.
That's very true. Very true.
Well, and the one thing with the 49ers is they have so many different weapons and speed guys that tackling becomes an issue against them. Guys that get the ball out in the open field and kind of just go one-on-one and make you miss, and they do a lot of jet sweeps and all sorts of stuff to get, that's one thing. They do a great job of accentuating the positives of the talent that they have. Okay, Mosher, you do one thing well. You run fast. Let's find ways to get you the ball where you can use your speed.
I thought you said Mosher for a minute. I said, what are you talking about? He couldn't make me run fast.
Not running anywhere.
It's not my positive.